Hey there, I'm Ian Douglas. I'm the author of the website techinterview.guide, and I'm here to help people with career advancement and interview preparation. My live stream on Twitch covers topics such as company research, how to build resumes and cover letters, applying for the job, getting through interviews, and what to do during negotiations. I've coached thousands and thousands of people over the years to get jobs at the biggest tech companies in the industry, and I'm here to help you too. The following episode is taken from a longer live stream event and may contain interactions with other people in chat. Check out the end of the episode for more information. Let's get to it. We had a question come in chat that said, how do you answer a question of how many years of experience do you have? It seems like recruiters want someone with several years of experience, and I don't have that. On a previous stream, I answered a question about, is project experience the same as professional experience? In my opinion, no. Professional experience is on-the-job experience where you're getting paid. Project experiences where you're building up projects to build up your technical knowledge, but not something that you're paid to do. Now, if you turn around and actually get paid for that project, then yes, that would be considered professional experience at that point. When recruiters are asking how many years of experience you have, they're typically asking for how many years of professional experience do you have? How many years have you actually been working where you've been paid as an employee or as a freelance contractor, something along those lines. Now, if you've done project work for an extended period of time, then you can say, you know, professionally, I've only got this much experience, but project-wise, I've been working on projects for this many years. They may consider some of that amount of project experience as some amount of professional experience. But most of them are going to be looking for professional experience because they want to know, how have you worked on a team? How long have you worked on a team? What kinds of problems did you have to solve? What was your role on the team? You know, what kind of team was it? Was it a full stack team? Was it something that we call a cross-functional team where you're working as, you know, I was one developer working with one DevOps person, working with one support person to, like, you know, try to build out like a feature of a product or something like that. So when you're asked about this experience, they're asking for professional experience typically, but also looking for kind of a breakdown of like what kind of team you're on. So there will be follow-up questions to this. So if you can tell me in chat, like, how much experience do you have? Like, have you actually worked professionally or not? That would be a big help to kind of give a little more context to the question. So if you can drop that in chat while I'm kind of going through some other thoughts here. Again, with professional experience, sometimes you'll see on a job post, like, you must have so many years of work experience or particular amount of education plus something. A lot of times it'll be like, we expect a bachelor's degree or so many years of experience as equivalent if you don't have the education, because they expect that you're learning things on the job, which you're always going to be learning things on the job, especially in the tech industry anyway. With things like professional work experience, though, they're really looking for what kind of teams have you been on, how big have those teams been. So in the follow-up in chat, it says I've had a freelance client. So a freelance client counts as professional experience. If you've done work as a freelance developer and you've been paid for that, that is professional experience. You might have another one. That's great. So on your resume, you're basically going to say, like, I'm a freelance developer, and you don't have to name the clients, but you can say, these are the projects that I've built as a freelance developer, or projects that you've been involved in as a freelance developer. You'll want to outline those as professional experience. Other project work that you're doing kind of on the side where you're not being paid, that's just project experience. But again, some companies will count some of that as experience. So if professionally, let's say you've done like JavaScript and React projects and you've been paid for that, that is professional experience. If you've on the side also worked on, you know, let's go explore like Node and Express and like Mongoose and MongoDB, or, interacting with Postgres or some other relational database, like, if you've been dabbling in projects in that, you can say, I've also got project experience working in these other things. And I would outline all of that on the resume. The company may still consider that, and they may look at the scope of the project that you've built and go, oh, look at all the parts that you've built. That does cover some of the need that we have on the team. And they will consider that to some degree, but typically they're going to consider it to a lesser degree than actual professional experience where you've been paid. And so typically in a professional project that you've worked on as a freelancer, you'll have like kind of a date range of like how long you've worked on that project. And you'll want to explain the scope of the project, like what was the project about? What was your responsibility on the project if you're doing it with other people? If it was a solo freelance effort, like you were the only freelance developer that was working on this, then you did everything. And you can basically explain through some of that, like some of the things that you built, things that you've learned from the experience, how you deployed it, how you delivered it to the client, things like that. You would explain all of that on the resume. And so they also followed up in chat, said, I'm going through the 100 Devs program. That's great. It's fantastic. I'm working on a group project with 4 other people. That's fantastic too. So knowing that you've worked as part of a group is also going to be important. So if you're working on a group project on the side, that would be project experience, and you'll want to explicitly say that it was a group project. And as part of that group project, you're going to want to explain your role as part of a group. So if someone else is doing all of the front end and you're building out kind of the middleware and someone else is working on the database, then you want to say, like, this is the group project. Here's the entire scope of like what we're building for the end user. Here was my responsibility of that. Like I was working on testing and styling of CSS or something like that. Or I was working on the database integration, or I was working on, and if you did a little bit of everything, then you can say, you know, we all worked as full stack, like complete devs, where we worked on a little bit of everything in the project. You can actually say that on the resume. So they know that you were involved in a little bit of everything. Now, as part of describing that project on your resume, if you can show me a GitHub link to the repo, if that's a possibility, or like some sort of online repository where I can actually go see the code and see your contribution to actually verify that, yes, you really did do a little bit of everything, that just lends credibility to what you're telling me on the resume. And so having a link to the project, both the code as well as the deployed version of the project, if that's a possibility, if you've got it up on Heroku or something like that, if you can put that link on the resume as well. So I can look at that and go, not only can you write code, I can see how you contributed to that code. And I know the code works because you've got it deployed. And so for someone looking at your resume and reviewing the resume, that's a much stronger experience for me to see that you're actually a developer. I've seen your contributions, and now I can specifically go in and look at that part of the project and go, oh yeah, okay, I see how this thing is actually interacting, and I can kind of gain some idea of like what your process was. I can also go back and look at your commit history. I can go back and look at like, when did you contribute to that project? Like I can see a lot about you as a developer by digging in on GitHub a little bit. Now, not every hiring manager is going to have that kind of time. They're just going to look at it and go, okay, you contributed to a group project in this way. They may never look at GitHub. Hopefully though, they click on the live, production link to actually go experience it. And so you can make that really compelling on the resume. You can say, users can share their favorite movies or something with others, or something like whatever that project is. You want to call out as a user empathy statement. You say, go experience this live, click here, kind of thing. Like you can actually put words like that on a resume to really entice them to like click on it and go experience that project. Again, it shows them that you are capable of building workable code, that you also understand the deployment process. And so it tells me a lot more about you as a developer than just, yeah, I wrote this project one time. It's like, well, okay, I still need you to kind of prove your skill. If I can see that GitHub repo, I at least can see how you contributed the code. Now I can look at your code style. Again, if I have that kind of time. As I've said in other streams and other clips as well, though, our industry is one that's really heavy on demonstration. So even though you've worked on group projects and you've worked on freelance projects, they're still going to want you to demonstrate some amount of skill in an interview scenario where you're going to write some code in front of them probably. It may be a take-home assignment, but at some point in the process, they're probably going to have you writing some code live just to see what your process is and kind of hear your problem solving and the decision-making about how you're building that code. So yeah, as a freelance developer, freelance work that you're actually paid for is considered professional experience. The group project, if it's not a paid project where you're getting paid to work on it, I would not consider that professional experience, but you can still list it on the resume, and you can talk to the recruiter about it, and you can say, I have this amount of time as professional paid freelance experience. I've also got this as project experience, if you will consider that as well. Some of them will. Like I said, some of them won't, but every hiring manager is a little bit different. Every organization is going to be a little bit different. Some of them are going to look at that and go, okay, 100 devs, these are all the different things that you're learning, and we see the portfolio of the projects that you're building. And that may be enough to get you into an interview where then you can continue to demonstrate your level of skill and then hopefully get a job offer out of that. Thanks for checking that out. I hope that you found it helpful. I always appreciate feedback, so please let me know what you think. I appreciate any subscriptions, so please tell your friends and colleagues about it as well. Check out the website techinterview.guide for more information about when I'm live streaming and all of my free content. Drop by a live stream anytime to ask questions or message me privately, whatever makes you most comfortable. See you next time.